His Excellency High Commissioner of India and ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to be here today, especially because just before I came here, we signed a contract with Pratt& Whitney for 144 GTF engines, which are going to power our 72 A320 Neo aircraft, which we have ordered. And those aircraft will be joining us from 2016 onwards, 16 to 20. So I represent Go Air. It's a typical low-cost carrier in India. And as you all know, the low-cost model is the one has really been found successful in India. And all the legacy carriers are trying to follow the low-cost carrier. And now the issue is, we all know that how the low-cost carrier function and how they are able to survive by reducing the overhead costs and then their distribution costs and passenger services and crew cost and airport charges, ground handling, etc., etc. But many of the advantages which low-cost carriers in USA and Europe have, Indian low-cost carriers don't have. So basically, low-cost operation in India is actually it's a high-cost, low-fare operation. It's kind of a bumblebee operation. If you put all the numbers in place, the airline will not be flying. But we still fly. And it's very interesting how we struggle, and we fight for every rupee. And then that is how we do that. But in India has got a huge middle-class population, about 300 million people. And as per the present records, only one person takes one flight in a year. That is kind of the statistics which we have. Don't trust my statistics; they may not be accurate because there are better people who can give you statistics. But I'm talking in general. The current scenario in India, we have about 7 players, starting from Indigo, at the low cost, and the legacy carriers like Jet, Kingfisher, and Air India. And out of the low cost, we have Indigo, Spice, and Go Air. Go Air is one of the smallest of the lot. And so because of that, we have an agility to fight against the problems. And also, we don't believe in faster expansion. So we are able to deal with the problems in the market better than many others. In other words, when everybody makes losses, we will make small losses because of our size. And then Go Air is well placed to take advantage of the current industry structure. Smallest carrier in terms of fleet size. We are only 12 aircraft as of now. And we are adding the aircraft in a very steady pace. That is not more than 3 or 4 in a year. And by the time 2014, we will be 20 airplanes. And then we plan to tap the mass market, which is currently served by trains and luxury buses. India is a very price-sensitive market. And if you increase the fares by 200 rupees, you will find the whole families on leisure travel moving towards the trains. And so that is where we have to do a very good balancing act. Indian aviation, we know all these statistics. I'm not going to spend time on all these things. Any investment in civil aviation, it creates job opportunities, growth in the other industries, and that is what is presently having in Indian industry. We have problems. We have high taxation, many people have spoken about. So the government is trying to help us by reducing taxes, and also recently 49% FDI has been cleared. Partly it's subject to cabinet clearance, is waiting for it. And we need to see who are all going to take advantage of it. And also the ATF direct import policy has been agreed on. But it's not an easy thing to do. It has got a difficult thing. You need to have a bulk import and storage, distribution, quality control. It's a major issue. Unless all the airlines get together and try to take advantage, these benefits is difficult to take advantage of. We all know how the LCCs work. I'm not going to explain this whole thing. But the point I want to make is, when in Europe, when an LCC brings passengers to an airport, the airport pays the airline. But we don't get that kind of benefits in here. We fight with legacy carriers in the same term. We pay the same landing charges and navigation charges. There are no separate airports. All these things need to come if the LCCs have to really survive in this competitive market. Now, we are positioned between the full-service carriers and charter carriers, and we provide for the needs of the business class passenger. And he pays from his pocket. So he need to save money and make his business profitable. That is how we are positioned. Low-cost carriers is positioned in between the legacy carriers and charter operators and provide and saves his time. And we have the corporates, we have the leisure and family, and the business in between. That is where we concentrate, give him low fare, and then a punctual service. And how we do this is to make a very high utilization of the aircraft, and that is where our profitability remains. And this is what I already explained in the previous picture. And then more customer segments where we are going to tap. Actually, the Tier 2 markets and Tier 3 markets are developing in India in a big way. Earlier, a person from Pune to go to Lucknow, he would have had to spend a lot of time by hopping from flight to Pune to Mumbai, Mumbai to Delhi, Delhi to Lucknow. And now we are starting direct flights. We already started Bombay to Patna, Bombay to Ranchi, and then we have Calcutta, Ranchi, Delhi, Ranchi, Patna, and all these kind of routes are being developed. And this is where the growth is coming to in the second stage. Go Air commenced operations in 2005, and then we started, and we are growing steady. We started with 3-4 aircraft. Now we are 12, and then 2014 we will be 20, and then by 2020 we need to be a 100 aircraft airline. Now, somebody may ask, isn't it an ambitious program for a small airline like us? See, if you look at our market share, we are at about 6 to 7% market share today. And our expectation is we want to be 10% of the Indian market. And if you want to be 10% of Indian market in 2020, we need to have 100 airplanes. That is what we are aiming at, and that is what we are planning for, and we are planning for a steady growth. And Goa's business model, I don't have to explain, you all know how LCCs work in India. And then we all use the same type of aircraft and very high level of seat concentration. We have A320 aircraft with 186 seats, all airplanes, typical, and there is no change. And so that gives advantage, the cost advantage, and also in terms of maintenance and things like that, with spare support, everything becomes easy to handle. And that's what we are concentrating, and that's where our benefits come from. And similarly, we have the route strategies, marketing strategies, and this is what one of the problems of the Indian industry is. The capacity is growing always faster than the demand. And in 2011, what we find is the demand grew by 16.4%, whereas the capacity grew by 18.6%. And if you look at China, it was just the other way around. The capacity growth was slightly lower than the traffic demand. Because of that, the load factors were higher there, lower here. And that is why Indian carriers are making a loss. This is what I explained earlier, the market share of different carriers. If you look at it, the Go Air is about 6.1%. And then we want to be 10%. And by 2020, we want to maintain that. This is the Ministry of Civil Aviation. This is the industry structure here. Everybody knows. Carriers, Airport Authority, other organizations are DGCA, Bureau of Civil Aviation, and others. We are talking about civil aviation policy. It is yet to come. I mean, it's in the final stages. We hope a lot of good things will come out of it. And we are expecting, it's already DGCA, there is a change which is being proposed. There's a BCAS, Airport Authority India. These are part of the civil aviation structure. Now, there is a clear air operator certification procedure existing. It is quite tough and strict, and we need to follow if you want to get into this market. In the past, the growth is steady, but we are still not matched the growth in the BRIC countries. But we do have the potential, and there is growth growth in the air, and we need to reach there. Expected policy changes are already coming. 49% FDI, ATF taxation we already talked about. And more policy changes are sought. Privatization of more airports, changes in the route dispersal guidelines, aircraft induction, expected aircraft induction will force the government to rethink the views on pilots training requirements, etc. There are a lot more changes need to be done to remove these difficulties. And I will end my discussion with a small picture which came in the Times of India along with Dr. Abdul Kalam's article. I want you to look at, this is the vision of young people in India. And one of the youngsters is already writing, we need more and better airlines in India. That is one of the things which will contribute to the GDP growth and things like that. This is the vision of India. And this is the young people are waiting there with their aspirations, and we need to grow. We need to remove these obstacles. Recently, there was an article in the newspaper. The Kalyan Jewelries, one Mr. Kalyan Sundaram, he purchased an aircraft. Why he purchased? Somebody asked him, why are you buying an airplane? It's a messy affair. Then he says he values his time. And then he needs to hop from small town to small town, and which he's taking a lot of time. His time is getting lost, so he's buying an airplane. There are a lot more people are buying airplanes, setting up facilities. We need to go, quite far before we reach there. But we are on the right path, and hope the next few years will find a remarkable change. And I wish all of you will join in that growth process and look forward to a very good civil aviation and other military aviation policies in India. Thank you.